From a fiery war of words between Donald Trump and Dmitry Medvedev, U.S.-Russia relations have now escalated to a new level of tension. It's no longer just verbal sparring on social media. President Donald Trump has recently deployed 2 nuclear submarines right up to Russia's doorstep. Although Trump claims this is merely a precautionary measure, it marks one of the boldest nuclear moves by a U.S. president since the Cold War. And from that very move, a pressing question has begun to echo in the minds of global strategists. What would happen if the 2 most powerful military forces on Earth clashed head-to-head? Does the United States have a calculated plan to take down the Russian bear? Or does Vladimir Putin have tricks up his sleeve to clip the wings of the American eagle? Which direction would America's submarines strike Russia from? When President Donald Trump sent 2 undersea beasts to lurk near Russian waters, the world seemed to hold its breath, aware that a preemptive strike could erupt at any moment. But if the U.S. truly pulls the trigger, which direction would they choose? Northwest, the Far East, or through Alaska? Direction 1. Northwest, the Barents Sea. The U.S. could deliver a lethal blow from just about 1,500 kilometers as the crow flies from Moscow. Most likely, they'd deploy an Ohio-class submarine armed with 24 Trident II D5 missiles, each capable of carrying up to 14 nuclear warheads with a range of 12,000 kilometers. If an Ohio hides in the Barents Sea, the distance to the Kremlin is only 7 to 10 minutes of missile flight time. Russia may have early warning radar, S-400 and S-500 missile systems, and anti-submarine forces, but American subs are almost perfectly invisible. Once launched, it's a dagger right at the throat. Direction 2. The Far East. Instead of striking Moscow directly, the U.S. could target waters near Vladivostok, the heart of Russia's Pacific Fleet. American subs would need to travel only 500 to 800 kilometers to reach Russia's shores, potentially destroying strategic nuclear bases. At 9,000 kilometers from Moscow, they couldn't hit the capital instantly, but the strategic value is immense. Direction 3. The Arctic via Alaska. The icy expanse might seem harmless, but it's the perfect weak spot. From Alaska, U.S. subs could slip beneath the permanent ice into the Kara Sea or the Kola Peninsula, areas where Russian radar struggles to detect intrusions. A Trident II launched from here would take 10 to 13 minutes to reach Moscow. The danger lies in the fact that the strike could happen without anyone knowing it was coming, leaving almost no time to respond. 3 directions, 3 scenarios, 3 daggers, each hovering at Russia's throat. All it would take is one decision from the White House, and the darkest chapter of the 21st century could begin. What would happen if the U.S. used aircraft to strike Russia? The U.S. has already demonstrated its ability to send a chilling message, like when it struck Iran's Fordow nuclear facility using the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber armed with the GBU-57 MOP, massive ordnance penetrator. Just one hit rendered Fordow completely inoperable. But Iran was no match for the United States. Washington had total dominance. If the opponent were Russia, a nuclear superpower with dense air defenses and an immediate retaliation doctrine, the situation would be far more dangerous. U.S. strike assets, B-2 Spirit, and the next-gen B-21 Raider, stealth bombers designed for deep penetration strikes, capable of carrying nuclear weapons, or GBU-57 MOP bunker busters. B-52 Stratofortress can launch long-range cruise missiles from beyond enemy airspace. F-35 Lightning II and F-15 Strike Eagle, precision strike aircraft, capable of penetrating from NATO bases or U.S. aircraft carriers. Support assets, KC-135 and KC-46 aerial refueling tankers, AWACS command aircraft, RQ-4 Global Hawk reconnaissance drones, and electronic warfare platforms to jam Russian radar. Russia's air defense network, S-400 and S-500 systems, long-range interceptors capable of engaging targets up to 600 kilometers away at altitudes of 200 kilometers. Pantsir S-1 and Buka M3, medium to short-range defenses specialized in destroying drones and cruise missiles. Nuclear deterrence doctrine, If Russian radar detects incoming intrusions, a retaliatory strike could be launched immediately, even if the leadership is wiped out, thanks to the dead hand, perimeter, automatic launch system. In short, while U.S. aircraft could theoretically strike Russian targets, they would be flying into one of the most fortified air defense networks on Earth. And with Russia's nuclear retaliation protocol, a miscalculation could trigger a chain of events spiraling into full-scale nuclear war within minutes. Since the Ukraine war erupted in 2022, the United States has imposed a sweeping wave of sanctions on Russia, cutting Russia off from SWIFT, isolating its banking system, and severing global transaction links, freezing $300 billion in foreign currency reserves, undermining the ruble's stability, banning high-tech exports, from semiconductors to aircraft parts to oil and gas equipment. Energy sanctions, banning Russian oil and gas imports and pressuring the EU to cut dependence, seizing elite assets, yachts, luxury villas, and offshore bank accounts belonging to Russian oligarchs. Cultural and sports boycotts, turning Russia into an outcast on the global stage. If a full-scale US-Russia war were to break out, Washington could tighten the noose completely, targeting intermediary banks and Russia's SPFS financial messaging system, launching cyber attacks on the financial sector, disrupting exchange rates, and crippling global supply chain. Russia will not be easily subdued. SPFS, a domestic payment system replacing SWIFT, open to BRICS, the SCO, and other nations under US sanctions. De-dollarization, conducting trade in yuan, rubles, gold, and digital currencies. Trade pivot, shifting commerce from Europe to Asia, especially India, China, the Middle East, and Africa. Energy and food leverage, the ability to cut exports of oil, fertilizers, and wheat, triggering a global crisis. Backing anti-US forces, supporting groups in the Middle East, Latin America, and Africa to apply indirect pressure. If the US commits to a full-scale blockade, it will turn into a war of endurance, where the side that can withstand more pain, stay resolute, and strike at the right moment will be the one that survives.